All right, so we're going to start off looking at 2.4, which is going to build right off the warm-up we just did, solving multi-step inequalities. So in the warm-up, we practice solving multi-step equations. Remember, that's where we use SAM, right, to remember the order we do things in. And we also practice graphing single-step inequalities. Well, now we're going to combine the two. So we did multi-step equations, we did single-step inequalities, now we'll do multi-step inequalities. So, first thing on your guided notes says, solving multi-step inequalities, just like solving multi-step equations. Does anybody remember, we wrote it in the warm-up a couple times, what's that word that we use to remember the steps when we're solving an equation? Yep?
SAM.
Yep, SAM. Okay. I'm not going to go through in detail because we've done this quite a few times, but under the guided notes, under that first question, go ahead and just write in SAM. And can someone remind me, what does the S stand for? Yep? Simplify. And what are the two things that could happen under simplify? One of them came up in the warm-up. Yep? So combine like terms, that would be the second one. So combine like terms. And what's the one that came up in the warm-up? Yep?
Distributive property.
Yep, distributive property. So those are the first two things we do if they happen in the problem. If they don't, then we go to the A step. What two things do we handle in this step? Yep? Yeah, do you know the two things there?
That we do for addition.
Addition or
Subtraction.
subtraction. Good. Go ahead. So add or subtract. And after we finish up adding and subtracting, what are the last two things we would deal with? First one starts with an M. Yep. Multiply. Or, yep, divide. Good. So we're going to follow those same steps. Now remember, whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other. This next part is the second question on your guided notes. What do we need to do if we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number? 80? Yeah, what do you mean flip the problem? Flip like the whole problem or just flip one thing in the problem? What's that one thing? Tirza? Right, flip the symbol, flip the inequality sign. So if we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to flip the inequality sign. And unfortunately, if you forget to flip it, it's not like something's going to jump out at you at the end of the problem and remind you. If you forget to flip it, then you forget to flip it. It's just, you're going to forget it. Okay? Nothing's going to happen until it gets graded, and then it wouldn't be marked right. Sometimes when we forget to do something in math, we run into a problem later on. Like all of a sudden something happens and we can't keep going. That won't happen if you forget to flip it. Okay, so that's just something you have to remember. All right, so let's try the first example on your guided notes. So there's two parts: solve and graph. So this is called a multi-step inequality because just like a multi-step equation, it's going to have more than one step to solve. So it says 2b minus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. So whenever you have multi-step, think of the word SAM and go through that in your head in that order and say, okay, do I have simplify? If you do, go ahead and do it. If you don't, go to the next step. Okay, since we just did some of these in the warm-up, I think you guys are probably good to just try it. So just take maybe a minute or so and see if you can solve it. And do you guys already have a number line printed on your guided notes? Perfect. You might have to number it yourself, but after you do that, then go ahead and try to graph it. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So you have 2v minus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. Natalie, starting with S, is there anything we have to do to simplify this first? No, there's nothing in the simplify step. Simplify would either be distributive property, but there's no parentheses, or combining like terms. If I had something like this, then I would say, yes, we have like terms we need to combine first. 6v plus 2v. But we don't have anything like that. So we're going to go right to adding or subtracting. So Joe, do you see anything that can be added or subtracted from both sides?
4.
And what did you do with the 4? Did you add it or subtract it?
Added.
Good, you want to add it. Because when you add 4 to both sides, negative 4 plus 4 gives me 0. And that's gone. Maya, what is on the left-hand side now?
2v.
2v. And Finnegan, should I flip my inequality?
No.
No, I didn't multiply or divide by a negative. So don't flip it. And Sophie, on the right side, what will I have? 12. Now, this is what we call a single-step inequality. There is one step left to solve this, and it's under the multiply or divide part of SAM. Yep? Sure. Yep. So we're going to divide each side by 2. And Anaya, when I divide by 2, should I flip this sign? No, I didn't divide by a negative, so don't flip it. So keep that the same. Caleb, what's on the left side now?
Just v by itself.
Just v by itself. That's exactly what we want. And Abby, 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Good. So v is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, have we done the entire question? Yeah? I still have to graph it. Okay, I solved it. Now I want to graph it. So how about, Lexi, what kind of circle are we going to use for this one? A closed circle. So I need to number my number line. Again, it's going to be set up for you numbered on Edge Elastic already. So when you number it in homework, you could just do something like 0. You could just do 2, 4, 6. Or however you want to number it. Okay, so you said a closed circle. And Abby, what number is the closed circle going to go on? 6. Good. And Aiden, is that set up in the order that we like it? Yeah, letter, symbol, number. That's perfect. So this tells me, if you make an arrow out of it, it tells you which way to shade. So we're going to shade everything to the right of 6. And that's it. So remember, in Edge Elastic, you'll have the tools you can click. One will have like a closed circle, one will be an open circle, one will point right, one will point left. You'd click on the one that looks like this on the screen, and then you just drag that to the number 6, and it'll graph it for you. I think you guys did something like that on the last test, right? Yeah, so it's the same exact thing. All right, let's do number 2 together. And then maybe I'll let you guys try 3 again, okay, on your own. So this says 15 is greater than or equal to 3, and then in parentheses 2 minus x. So there's already one thing here I kind of don't like. I don't like that the x is on the right side, which means at the very end of the problem, I'm probably going to fix that. I could fix it right now if I wanted, but let's just leave the x where it is. We'll solve it, then we'll fix it. All right, so Dorian, what would be my first step in this one?
Using distributive property.
Yep, this time we do have a simplify, and it's going to be the distributive property. So we're going to distribute out the 3 to both the 2 and the negative x. Jacinda, when I distribute the 3, does that do anything to the 15?
No.
No. The 15 stays the same. I also don't flip the inequality. You would never flip the inequality in the simplify step. And now distribute. Tirza, 3 times 2 gives me 6. And Micah, 3 times negative x. Good, negative 3x. So there's our first step. Simplify is done. Michael, do you see any adding or subtracting?
You can subtract 6 from both sides.
Yes, we can subtract 6 from both sides. And Annika, if I do 15 minus 6, what does that give me? We want to subtract because this already is a positive 6. And if we add 6 to 6, we'd get a 12 on this side. So we want to subtract 6 so it disappears. Yep, so that gives me 15 minus 6 gives me 9. Again, don't flip the inequality because we didn't do any multiplying or dividing yet. And on the right side, Brady, what do I have on the right side?
-3x.
Good, negative 3x. Okay, what would be my next step? Yep, next step. Okay, divide each side by negative 3. Okay, I like that. I agree with it. And what should I do right away so I don't forget now? Yeah? Flip the sign. We just divided both sides by a negative. So let's flip it and have it point the other way. And Natalie, what's 9 divided by negative 3? Negative 3. And negative 3 divided by negative 3, that part's gone. So there is our answer. And mathematically, there's nothing wrong with leaving the answer like that. That is correct. It's just not set up the way we would normally like it. So, think of the 3 things we want. Maya, what do we always want on the left?
The letter.
The letter. So let's put the letter on the left. Alex, what do we always want on the right?
The number.
The number. So in this case, the number is negative 3. And when you rewrite it, it still has to mean the same thing as this. So this is pointing at the negative 3. When we rewrite it, it still should point at the negative 3. So x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So we flipped it twice in that problem. We flipped it because we divided by a negative. And then we flipped it again because we wanted to fix it and put it in the order that we like. Yeah? Why is 3 a negative? Because we had 9 and we divided by negative 3. So positive divided by negative is a negative. let's number the number line. That's good enough. Okay, what kind of circle do I need? Yeah,
Be closer.
close circle. Oh, I need to go the other way. So I numbered positives. I meant to do negatives, but that's fine. So closed circle. And Cadence, which way am I going to shade? How come? So she said to the left because the symbol points to the left. What do we think? Anyone agree or disagree with that? Yeah?
I disagree.
Why?
Because it should point to the right because if you look at that one right there,
Yes.
it's pointing.
So remember, this one right here, this one's it's like the track, right? It's not set up the right way. The letter is not on the left. So if you set it up the first way, it tells you the wrong way to shade. We always want letter, symbol, number, and then it tells you the right way to shade. Yes? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to shade to the right. Okay, so any question on that one? A little harder than the first one because it had the distributive property. Any question? All right, let's try this one. I'll give you guys a second to actually try it. This time you have some choices, which way you're going to solve it. But the first step is to get all the variables on one side. I have a preference which side I would normally like to put them on, so I don't have to fix it at the end. So give that one a try, and then so let's take a look at example 3. So this time you have variables on both sides. When you have variables on both sides, now you have a choice of what to do first. You can either try to get all the letters on the right, or you can put them on the left. Where do we generally like to put them? On what side? Yep. The left. So most of the time, I would say we should try putting them on the left. That means we might have to deal with a negative number, but that's the place we generally want to put the letters. All right. So Finnegan, can you tell me how I would move all my variables to the left?
By subtracting
Yep. And what would you subtract from both sides?
2x.
Good. So subtract 2x from the right and from the left. Remember, you have to do it on both sides. It's got to be the same thing. That's gone. Negative 6x minus 2x. What does that give me? Yep.
Negative 8x.
Good. Negative 8x. And everything else is going to stay the same. You never flip the inequality till you're in the multiply or divide step. Okay? All we did was subtract. So we still have minus 5. Still points to the left. And now it's 11. Okay. What about Anaya? What would my next step be?
You would add 5 both sides.
Right. Since we decided to put everything with a letter on the left, everything without a letter has to move to the right. So we're going to add 5 on both sides. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. And Abby, can you tell me what that'll give me for a new inequality?
What do you mean, like?
So my next step after I simplify what I have.
You add on the side?
So we're going to have a less than, and what's going to be on the left?
Negative 8x?
Yep, and on the right? 16. Okay, so now that's the inequality I'm working with. Negative 8x is less than 16. Adding and subtracting is done. Natalie, can you tell me my last step? Perfect. Divide by negative 8. No, I don't think so. We still have about 15 minutes. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 8. And what should I do now? Right away, just so I don't forget. We just divided by negative 8. Yep. Flip the symbol. Just write it so you don't forget. Annika, what happens with negative 8 divided by negative 8? Those cancel out. Perfect. So now all we have is x greater than, and Michael, 16 divided by negative 8?
-2.
Perfect. Negative 2. And that's it. You don't have to graph that one. Okay. Any question on that? Okay. So I think that was that was example 3. So let's flip to the back of the guided notes. And let's do example 6. Because that's one where we have to set up an inequality first and then solve it. And if we have time, we'll go back and do either 4 or 5. Probably not both of them. So example 6 says you need a mean. Okay, mean is just another word for average in math. So you need a mean score of at least 90 points to go to the next round in a trivia game. These are the scores that you've gotten in rounds 1 through 4. What score would you have to get in the 5th round to be able to advance? Right? This would be the same kind of question if it said, these are your 4 test grades you've gotten this term. You want to get at least a 90 on your report card. What grade would you have to get on the 5th test to make sure you get a 90 or higher? All right, so they want the mean score to be at least 90 points. So let's put mean score. So I'm just kind of setting this up in my head to see what I need to do. What does at least mean? What inequality symbol is at least? Yeah? Yeah, greater than or equal to. So we want, if something is at least 90 points, like if you said I need to get at least a 90, that means you'd be happy with a 90 or up. And in this case, what do they want the mean score to be at least? At least what number? Yep, at least 90. So this is the part we need to figure out. How do we find the mean score? If you wanted to know the average of those 5 scores, pretend they were test scores, how would you average up all those scores? What do we have to do to find an average? Yep. Take all the numbers and do what with them first? Something else we have to do. Yep. Add them. And then how many scores do we have here? Or how many will we have eventually? Yep. 5. So we need to add all these scores up. I don't know the 5th score. So I don't want to use question mark to represent it. So how do we normally represent something in math that we don't know? Yep. Yeah, let's just call it x. And we're going to divide by what number? Yep. 5. That's how you calculate the average of all these scores. add them all up and divide by 5. And whatever happens, we want to make sure that it comes out greater than or equal to 90. Now, first thing we should do is add 95, 91, 77, and 89 up. So let's just quickly add those up. So 95, 91, 77, 89, well, that's it, 352. Unless I made a mistake. All right, so this one is a little bit different when we solve it. When you have a problem like this and you have a number in the bottom, this is kind of an exception to Sam. We actually want to get rid of that 5 first. What am I doing with the 5 right now? What math operation? Am I adding 5, multiplying by 5, subtracting 5, dividing by 5? Yep. Right now, I have a divide by 5. What can you do in math that's the opposite of a divide by 5? Yep. Yep. Again, I know this is a little different than Sam, but when you have a problem that involves the mean of something, that's how we have to set it up. You have to multiply by the number that's in the bottom, and that gets rid of the 5s. So now on the left, you have 352 plus x, and 90 times 5. Does anybody know what that is? Yep.
450.
Yep, very good, 450. So it looked like it might be kind of a hard problem, but now we're actually at the last step. The last step is to get x by itself. So how would I get rid of that 352? Yep. Minus 352 and minus 352. Remember, you have to do it on both sides. And let's see what we get. 450 minus 352 is 98. So based on that, can somebody tell me what score do you need to get in the 5th round of this trivia game based on our answer? Yeah? Right. As long as you score 98 points or more on the 5th round of the trivia, that's what you need. So at 98 or more. Okay. So the homework for tonight will be worksheet on 2.4. Okay, just the worksheet on 2.4.